Hi, I'm Dylan Davis, and I'm going to be talking about the O.J. Simpson trial. So, a little background about O.J. Simpson. He was nicknamed the Juice and is a former NFL running back, broadcaster, actor, spokesman, and convicted felon. Before his trial, O.J. Simpson was most known for being a superstar running back in college and then in the NFL. He was a former Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Southern California in 1968. He played professionally in the NFL for 11 years for the Buffalo Bills and San Francisco 49ers. He was the first person to ever rush for 2,000 yards in a single season, and he was elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985. So, the night of the crime. On the night of June 12th, 1994, Simpson's ex-wife and her friend Ron Goldman were stabbed to death outside her condo in LA. Simpson was the prime suspect for the two murders. Simpson did not surrender to the police after being notified of the impending charges. And on June 17th, 1994, Simpson hid in the back of an SUV driven by his friend A.C. Cowlings. After being told that Simpson had a gun to his own head, law enforcement officers followed the vehicle at low speeds for more than an hour to avoid any casualties. This attempted escape was televised live nationally. It is estimated that it was seen by over 95 million viewers. Hundreds of fans lined the streets in support of the former running back with signs. The pursuit eventually ended at Simpson's home in Brentwood, California, where he was placed under arrest. So the trial. Simpson was formally arraigned on July 22nd, 1994, entering a plea of not guilty. The trial began on January 24th, 1995, with Lance Ito as the presiding judge. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, emphasized the domestic violence that had occurred prior to and after the Simpsons' 1992 divorce as the motive for the murder. The Simpson defense was based largely on the grounds that evidence had been mishandled and that many members of the Los Angeles Police Department were racist. Prosecutors Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden made passionate opening statements saying that he killed her out of jealousy. Darden told the jury he killed her because he could not have her. Some key evidence in the trial. The Simpson defense's main argument was that the evidence was mishandled by police. There was a large blood trail outside of the condo from the stabbings that was found by police. The famous incident from this case was that the glove didn't fit. If the gloves didn't fit, you must acquit, is the famous saying that Johnny Cochran, who was Simpson's main attorney, said. The defense team argued that the glove could not have been Simpson's because it appeared too small for his hand, and when he tried it on in the courtroom, it did not fit. In addition to the glove, the defense had claimed that other important evidence had been planted by the police to frame O.J. Simpson. During the trial, which lasted more than 8 months, some 150 witnesses testified, though Simpson never took stand during the trial. O.J. Simpson trying on the gloves in the courtroom is one of the most memorable moments in trial histories. When Simpson tried on the glove, he could not put it on correctly, as millions of Americans watched. The attempt to prove Simpson guilty by the prosecutors was the biggest mistake that they could have ever made. He exaggerated not being able to put on the gloves to the fullest extent. He struggled for 7 minutes to try and get them on. He showed his hands to the witnesses multiple times to show how the replica gloves were not going on. At one point, he even asked another person to try and help him put the gloves on. Even then, the gloves would still not go on correctly. Darden tried to argue that O.J. stopped taking his meds for his arthritis, and that's why he couldn't get his gloves on. He claimed that his hands swelled up due to the arthritis, and that's why they did not fit. That attempt failed by the prosecution. On October 2nd, 1995, the jury finally began deliberating and reached a verdict in less than 4 hours. Judge Ito delayed the announcement until the following day. On October 3rd, Simpson was found not guilty of the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. After the verdict, polls of public opinion continued to break down along racial lines. Whites were largely dismayed by the jury's decision, whereas a majority of African Americans supported it, seeing Simpson's acquittal as a victory in a legal system that systematically discriminates against blacks. Although Simpson was acquitted in the criminal case, he was also sued by the victims' families for wrongful death, and the civil trial began in October 1996, less than 4 months later. That jury found him responsible for the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman and awarded their families $33.5 million. This case is one of the most controversial cases in United States history. It was so big because of Simpson being a beloved former NFL superstar. After Simpson was found innocent, mainly African Americans were the ones who were in support of Simpson. They thought that the police were racist toward him and that he did not do the murders. White people, however, were disgusted by the verdict. They thought that Simpson was guilty, and it was a sick joke that he was found innocent. The case was very controversial because most people believe that Simpson did the murders. If you went on the street and asked people the question, is O.J. Simpson guilty? 99 out of 100 would probably say yes. The fact that he's not in prison angers a lot of people still to this day. A lot went wrong with this trial. People tend to blame most of it on the prosecutors. There's a ton of evidence initially against Simpson, and he was still found innocent in the end. The prosecutors now admit that making Simpson try on the gloves was the biggest mistake that they could have ever made. With that being said, I don't think that they are to blame for losing the case. They believe that the case was unwinnable, that the public did not want to believe that Simpson could have done it because of how highly they viewed him as a football player. They also believe that Simpson's race and the racial tensions between blacks and the police hurt them greatly. This trial can be used as an example for the future on how, even with a lot of evidence, trials can still be messed up if not handled correctly.